So this brings me to the final one here, which is really colorful, almost blinding to the eye, because the reality is, as we do more pieces, it does get cheaper. Now, one of the nice things about sublimation is it's an on-demand type of process so that we can do just one if we need to. And in many cases, that's all we do. A lot of our bigger items, some of our action sports photography and whatnot, might be onesies and twosies. But you're talking about retail prices in the range of $35, $40, things like that. So if it even does cost you $10 to produce it, you still got a very nice markup in all of that. But what I have here is how to do price breaks. Now, what I've done is I've gone and created some categories by size up here at the top. You can see 1 to 11 pieces, 12 to 23. This may not be the category quantities that you want to put. That's fine, but whatever you want to. And then I went in and started putting in my standards, and I put in my standard of 2 minutes on the average print press. You may differ and put something different. That's fine. And that extra half a minute there for moving things around, how many workstations I have, or in this case, and for example, this is a calculator. This isn't something you hand to your customer. This is something you use to calculate numbers and then create your own printed white price sheet. That's what you ultimately want, is a printed price sheet. This is a calculator to do that. So you can base this, in this case, if we're doing coasters and you have a sizable press, you can say, hey, for coasters, I'm normally going to do 6 at a time. So plug in 6 at a time where it says workstation 1, okay, because that's going to be your normal output, and that's going to help give you the right pricing cost for those particular items. I'm just going to use one right here. What I'm doing here is number of pieces in the job. See this range of 1 to 11? I took the midpoint as 6. If you use the bottom end, it's going to make it higher. If you do the top end, it's going to make it lower. I usually use the middle, okay? If you look across, you'll see I usually use the middle of that range, so I'm kind of averaging it. I use my standard 15-minute setup, 30 minutes of post. You may wish to use something different. And then it just kind of goes through and calculates everything out here. Nothing different than what we've already looked at, except that we've started putting in some quantity breakdowns. And as we started doing the quantity breakdowns and you start moving to the right, you'll see the cost of production is decreasing. And why is it decreasing? Because we're doing more pieces, and what we're doing is, by doing more pieces, we tend to have less downtime, or our downtime is a smaller percentage of our overall production than when we're doing the smaller pieces. That's what's driving it down. Now, there may be some other ways you can find to save money as you go, but that's basically what's happening here. So here I have my production numbers, and you can see significant decreases across the board. And then I have in, and this is where you plug in whatever that item is you're working on. If you're figuring out prices for, like I say, one of the Unisub coasters, you would work on that specific item and plug in all the parameters here and then calculate out your numbers. So you want to take into account what it costs you, what you think your shipping is. You're probably just going to estimate that. And then finally, you're going to put in a couple of new things we haven't talked about yet. Well, actually, one we haven't talked about, and that's credit cards. Definitely you're going to put your markups in here. Markups are based on marketing. They even sound alike. Keep that in mind. Credit card processing fees. A lot of people pay with credit cards, and it's going to cost you money to process that credit card. I suggest that you go to your credit card processing company, whoever that may be, check out the highest rate that you would have to pay, because typically the rate you pay when you don't have the credit card in your hand is higher than when you do have the credit card in your hand. So you want to find out the highest rate, and then I plug that in there. And you would definitely want to factor it in. If they pay in cash, I leave it there. It's just more money for me. So these numbers can be pretty scary at first. You see a 2244 on here, and you're thinking, oh my goodness, that's really high, because look how much it drops when we go into the larger volume for whatever that item is. Notice I need to tell you what the item is. I'm just talking about you plug in whatever that item is, everything that applies to that particular item. How many units you can do at once, what the unit cost, and all your other things like your markups and whatnot. And you're clearly laying it all out, and the beauty of it is anytime you want to change something, you can, because if I want to change that markup from 90% to 35% for whatever reason, you can see it immediately makes the change in there. So that's the beauty of what happens here with the spreadsheet. And that pretty much, trying to keep this simple, wraps up what I wanted to show you today. And that is that your pricing, figuring out what you charge, first starts with the cost. If you don't know what it costs to produce, you can never figure out what to sell it for, because you could be selling it for less than it costs you to produce. But keep in mind, everything you see here is just formulas and numbers. These numbers are only as good as your input into the formulas. Other than that, what you're seeing here is just numbers. Don't take any of these numbers I have as standards. Take some time to figure out things yourself. Sit down and time some of your jobs and try to figure out how much time you're really spending doing the job, how much time you're setting it up, how much time you're doing post-production, what all is going into it, and really get scientific. This is Business Management 101, is managing your business, and pricing is a good way to do it by starting out doing this cost analysis. Everything that you've seen here is in this spreadsheet. It's free. There's no charge for it. It has no warranty. If you find something in there you think is wrong, fix it, change it, whatever. It doesn't matter to me. If you get a copy of it and you mess up some of the formulas, because I didn't lock any of the cells, so you could accidentally erase formulas, let me know. I'll send you another one. It's not a big deal. Or if Sign Warehouse has it posted for download, you just download it again. Not a big deal. So you really can't hurt it. I mean, you can erase the whole thing, but you can get another one. You're not limited by how many you have. So